Royal Communications Incorporated. Good evening and welcome to King's Newsroom, 45 minutes news about Liberia, Africa, and our one world. Today is Monday, August 11, 2025, and I'm Shemadia presenting. In the headlines, Liberia National Police charges University of Liberia Graduate School Coordinator Phobit Emery Johnson with armed robbery and criminal attempt to commit murder. Police spokesperson Cecilia Clark says Johnson was caught on CCTV while attempting to arm rob EcoBank. Monserrado County Senator Abraham Darius DeLon criticizes veteran Liberian journalist and executive director of the Liberia Media for Democratic Initiatives for recently blasting government officials who are running their own radio and social media platforms. Accused John Colley of being a blackmailer and greedy journalist. And also in the news tonight, President Joseph Boakai ordered armed forces of Liberia to immediately claim Kakata Barracks Lane, reportedly occupied by citizens, warned the army against allowing citizens' encroachment. Away from home, the death of a 1-month-old baby girl who was the victim of female genital mutilation in the Gambia has sparked widespread outrage. Dozens of soldiers have been arrested in Mali, accused of plotting to topple the country's military leaders. These plus the news bulletin, voices of those making the news at our package, but we'll take a short break to be right back. Welcome back at this juncture. We join Stephen Conton with the news bulletin.
The Liberia National Police had charged a 44-year-old Phobit Emery Johnson with multiple crimes, including armed robbery and attempt to commit murder following a recent reported attempted robbery at EcoBank Liberia headquarters. Addressing a press conference Monday at the headquarters of the Liberia National Police in Monrovia, Police spokesperson, Deputy Commissioner of Police Cecilia Clark confirmed that Joseph has been formally charged and forwarded to the Monrovia City Code. His charges include armed robbery, criminal attempt to commit murder. The Deputy Commissioner of Police added that Johnson's action is in violation of Chapter 15, Subchapter C, Section 15.32, Chapter 10, Section 10.1, Possession and Sale of Physical Objects for Lethal Use, Chapter 17, Section 17.11 of the Penal Law. She disclosed that the 44-year-old man and robbers suspected that entered the private banking room at EcoBank marks with a nose mark and a cold-watered hole. Clark referenced a CCTV footage, adding that it captured Johnson entering the room, taking out a weapon and threatening the victim. The police spokesperson said during police interrogation, Johnson admitted to purchasing the firearm in Gantanima County for U.S. $60 allegedly for personal protection, caution against making assumptions based on social media status. Commander Clark emphasized that investigation must be based on facts and not public perception. Monserrado County Senator Abraham Darius DeLon has condemned recent remarks made by veteran Liberian journalist and executive director of the Liberia Media for Democratic Initiatives, John Colley. The veteran Liberian journalist, doing an interview recently on Truth FM, accused officials of the Unity Party-led government of undermining the Liberian media, adding that government officials have turned to journalists overnight as means to strangulate trained journalists. He named Senator Abraham Darius DeLon and several other as officials who turned themselves into journalists through their regular participation in social media discussion and appearances on radio talk shows, including the government-run program, The Class Reloaded. Corley criticized the act of government officials taking on journalists' role, arguing that many of these officials lack formal media training and contributing to a decline in media standard, promoting unethical practices within the media sector. But in response to the journalist's claims, Senator Ibrahim Darros Dillon described the statement as unprofessional attack and labeled the LMD head as a blackmailer and greeted journalists. The Monserrado County senator accused Colley of lacking the moral authority to question the choices of public officials who choose to engage with citizens through platforms like Facebook and radio shows. Dillon further claimed that Liberia's media landscape is deeply compromised by corrupt and biased, accusing some journalists of using blackmail tactics to uphold public information unless paid by politicians. He at the same time cautioned members of the Boykai administration against giving money to journalists who allegedly engaged in blackmailing, emphasizing that government officials will continue using radio and other platforms to respond to misinformation and defend their reputations. The Kakata barracks in Magibi and citizens in its vicinity are said to be engulfed in land dispute as authorities of the barracks have accused locals in the area of intrusion on the army's property. During a brief stop by President Joseph Boyka at the barracks over the weekend, he ordered personnel of the armed forces of Liberia to effectively mitigate the situation. President Boyka gave order after receiving an informant complaint from soldier at the barrack. Speaking on behalf of the army, the commander of the Kakata barrack, John Bokolo, alongside the deputy engineer commander, pointed out the citizens' gradual occupation of the land is due to the lack of security following the end of the Liberia Civil War. In response, President Boycott warned the soldiers to exercise urgent decision to stop citizens' encroachment, adding that that's the army cannot be tampered with, adding there should be serious consultation with superintendents and commissioners in making sure the land is secure for the army. The assigned circuit judge of Criminal Code B, Judge Wise Afonso Wise, has issued a called call to legal actors, urging them to take seriously their scarce duty to uphold justice. Delivering his charge of the August 10 of court opening at the Temple of Justice, Judge Wise pointed out reaffirmation of judiciary adult and a blunt assessment of the state of Liberia's justice system, noting that court should be the last hope for mankind on earth. He noted with grave concern that as of July 31, 2025, more than 2,181 individuals remain in pre-trial detention across the country, something according to Judge Wise A. Wise, nearly double the number of those already convicted. According to Judge Wise, the action declared is not merely an administrative backlog, but a direct violation of Article 20A and 21E of the 1986 Liberian Constitution, which protects citizens from unlawful detention and demand due process. He further urged the Liberian National Bar Association to expand its legal aid effort, especially for pre-trial detainees, and encouraged magistrates to leverage Section 13.5 of the Criminal Procedure Law of Liberia, which, according to him, allows court to release defendants unrecognized when justified. Judge Wise Echo, Chief Justice Designate Justice Yami called for the urgent construction of a new national prison facility. He described the country's current prison condition as appalling and inhuman, citing overcrowdedness, poor sanitation, and lack of rehabilitation services as critical threat to the sector. Maryland County District 2 Representative Anthony Williams has called on the plenary of the House of Representatives to summon the leadership of the Liberia Council of Churches and the resident bishop of the United Methodist Church of Liberia, Reverend Samuel Quire. The Maryland County lawmaker wants the Liberian Council of Churches and the resident bishop of the United Methodist Church of Liberia to clarify allegations surrounding the church reported promotion of same-sex marriage in Liberia. Representative Williams' communication to that August body were prompted following a controversy in the wake of accusation by members of the United Methodist Church in Liberia who claim that Bishop Quiet is endorsing same-sex marriage through the regionalization policy of the church. Meanwhile, the situation has caused division within the Methodist Church, resulting to the closure of the St. Namwe United Methodist Church on Sunday by LNP officers, thus forcing members to hold worship service outside of the church. In a formal communication to House Speaker Richard Coon, Representative Williams urged that they argue that the legislature has a constitutional responsibility to protect Liberia's cultural, moral, and religious value. He urged the plenary to engage both Bishop Choir and the president of the Liberia Council of Churches, Reverend Dr. Samuel Reeves, for clarification and justification. Representative William, among other things, cited the 1986 Constitution of Liberia, which emphasizes the culture of heritage and the issue of family life, noted that this freedom does not extend to practices that violate public policy, moral standing, among other things. Still with more developments, the Ministry of Gender, Children, and Social Protection has strongly condemned the recent graduation of over 500 girls from a Sandy Bush school in Conneaut, Lofa County, describing the ceremony as serious violation of government's temporary ban on harmful traditional practices, including female genital mutilation. Over the weekend, 502 young girls were reported initiated and graduated from the Sanding Bush through traditional ritual, an art the ministry said undermines recent national effort to eliminate harmful cultural practices. In a statement issued Monday, the Ministry of Gender described the graduation as a major setback to the progress made in recent months by the government and its partners in raising awareness and building consensus around the need to end practices such as FGM. Meanwhile, acknowledging Liberia's rich cultural, the ministry emphasized that FGM and other harmful practices associated with Bush School have no health benefit, but instead cause long-term physical and emotional harms. The statement added that such practices are in direct violation of Liberia's obligation under international human rights treaties. The ministry also commended the Ministry of Internal Affairs for taking swift disciplinary action, including the suspension of local government officials involved during the event. The release further disclosed that the ministry is engaging with traditional leaders, government institutions, civil society organizations, and development partners for the implementation of the national roadmap to end FGM in Liberia. President Joseph Boyka, through the Civil Service Agency, has submitted an ad seeking the establishment of the Civil Service Commission of Liberia to the House of Representatives. President Boyka, in a communication to the House of Representatives, said the ad is in accordance with Article 89 of the 1986 Constitution, which mandates the creation of autonomous public commissions. In the communication, accompanied by the draft ad submitted to the Chief Clerk of the House of Representatives, Mildred Sion, President Boykai stated that the proposed legislation seeks to repeal the 1986 Civil Service Agency Act and establish an independent and autonomous civil service commission. According to the Liberian leader, the proposed commission would ensure the fair access to employment and career advancement, improve working conditions for civil servants, and promote transparency and professionalism in public service. Boakai also noted that the act, if passed into law, would finalize civil servants as a distinct category through structural system for the development, protection, and grievance resolution. It described the draft legislative instrument as a critical step in modernizing and optimizing civil service operation under his administration. The release issued by the House's Bureau of Press and Public Affairs stated that House Speaker Richard Cohen has assured the president through the CSA boss Josiah Joker that the act will be worked on and fast tracked upon the return of members of the House in October. The disease surveillance officers have issued to the ultimatum to the National Public Health Institute of Liberia, threatening to suspend all surveillance reporting nationwide beginning this Monday. In a press statement issued to and the Director General Dr. Dube Chris Young over the weekend, the county, district, and zonal surveillance officers accused the institution's leadership, including its division of infectious disease, of ignoring repeated appeal and endangerment to resolve urgent matters affecting the country's disease monitoring system. The officers, during their emergency press statement held in Vanguard outlined their demand, which includes immediate payment of operational support arrears dating from October 2024 and unpaid allowances, which, according to them, left them indebted to vendors and unable to maintain essential disease surveillance operation in the county. Other demands include the full transition of all county surveillance officers to the NVL payroll, inclusion of the remaining district and zonal surveillance officers on payroll, provision of health insurance for all surveillance officers, and payment of OPS from October 2024 to August 2025. The officers argue that their work, which involves detecting, reporting, and responding to potential public health threat, is being carried out under support despite the hard risks they face in the field. The aggrieved health care workers maintained that the lack of financial and logistical backing from Envil is eroding morale and jeopardizing the country's early warning system for epidemics. According to the public health workers, if their concerns remain unresolved, they will engage the Ministry of Health and the national legislature to draw their attention to the crisis. The news bulletin is back to you, Sherman.
Stephen Compton with the news bulletin. The news bulletin is a regular feature on King's News Broom. A reminder you're listening to King's News Broom 45 minutes news about Liberia, Africa, in our one word. Stories are following tonight. Liberia National Police charges University of Liberia Graduate School coordinator forbade Emery Johnson with armed robbery and criminal attempt to commit murder. Police spokesperson Cecilia Clark says Johnson was caught on CCTV while attempting to arm rob EcoBank. Monserrado County Senator Ibrahim Daros Delon criticizes veteran Liberian journalist and executive director of the Liberia Media for Democratic Initiatives for recently blasting government officials who are running their own radio and social media platforms, accused John Colley of being a blackmailer and greedy journalist. President Joseph Boakai orders armed forces of Liberia to immediately claim Kakata Barracks land, reportedly occupied by citizens, warned the army against allowing citizens' encroachment. Away from home, the death of a 1 month old baby girl who was the victim of a female genital mutilation in the Gambia has sparked widespread outrage. Dozens of soldiers have been arrested in Mali accused of plotting to topple the country's military leaders. We take a break to be back with voices of the newsmakers. Welcome back and thanks for being there. The Liberia National Police has charged 44-year-old Phoebe Emery Johnson with multiple crimes, including armed robbery and attempted murder, following recent reported armed robbery at EcoBank headquarters. Addressing a press conference Monday at the headquarters of the Liberia National Police in Monrovia, police spokesperson Deputy Commissioner of Police Cecilia Clark confirmed that Johnson has been formally charged and forwarded to the Monrovia City Court. His charges include armed robbery, criminal attempt to commit murder.
Today, we present the findings of a critical investigation into a violent incident that occurred on Wednesday, August 6, 2025, at the EcoBank Liberia Limited 11th Street, Sinker branch. Following the investigation, the Liberia National Police has formally charged Phoebe Emery Johnson with the following criminal offenses: armed robbery, Chapter 15, Subchapter C, Section 15.32, criminal attempt to commit murder, Chapter 10, Section 10.1, possession and sale of physical objects for legal use, Chapter 17, Section 17.11. These charges are in accordance with the revised Penal Code of the Republic of Liberia. Mr. Johnson will be forwarded to court immediately following this press briefing. The Liberia National Police remains committed to protecting the lives and property of all citizens. The suspect, Phoebe Emery Johnson, age 44, of Dupont Road, Painesville, was apprehended at the scene and has since been thoroughly investigated by the anti-robbery unit of the Crimes Services Division. At approximately 9:45 a.m., Suspect Johnson entered the private banking room of EcoBank, disguised with a nose mask and a cold weather hood. He closed the office door behind him, pulled a single-barrel shotgun from his black backpack, and placed victim Angeline L. Silla, age 33, on the gunpoint. He demanded the money stored in the office and tussled with the victim for about 10 minutes and attempted to seal her mouth with duct tape he brought along with him. The victim resisted, pressed the alarm button, and was rescued by her colleagues, who restrained the suspect until the arrival of the Liberian National Police. CCTV footage from EcoBank clearly shows Mr. Johnson entering the private banking room, retrieving the weapon and threatening the victim. During questioning, the suspect admitted to purchasing the firearm in Ganta, Lima County for $60 claiming it was for personal protection. Recovered items include one black backpack, one single-barrel shotgun, 3 rounds of ammunition, one pepper spray, one duct tape, one nose mask.
Police spokesperson Cecilia Clark there speaking. Monserrado County Senator Abraham Darius Delon has condemned recent remarks made by veteran Liberian journalist and executive director of the Liberia Media for Democratic Initiatives, John Colley. The veteran Liberian journalist during an interview recently on Truth FM accused officials of the Unity Party-led government of undermining the Liberian media, adding that government officials have turned journalists overnight as means to strangulate trained journalists. He named Senator Darius DeLon and several others as government officials who have turned themselves into journalists through their regular participation in social media discussions and appearances on radio talk shows, including the government run program, The Class Reloaded.
Somebody went on radio and said Dillon there, especially Tyler Dillon, he mean when I get our journalism fee. Let me tell you something. I lie on my ticket here, it hurt my character, it hurt my conscience. I live with it. I was a negative story, but it was true. Against me, but it was true. I didn't take it up.
Using my own system that I built for I don't know how long. He claims to have built one in Bapulu for 200 grand. Just about the same system I built for 35,000 is working. It's been working. My whole system around the country. I mean, so well working. But instead of sitting down overnight to think on these things, these guys are on the radio all day. Leave that with us who chose it. I just think they are too mean. They're trying to mean you, Odile. So they don't want to give you anything for the kind of the reason you went to school. So Mo Ali and Patrick Ona, who is now my little brother there, who is now LTA chief, a government man. If they are going to be journalists, then what do we eat? How do we eat? Have we thought about this? These guys are destroying the media. We need money to survive. This is all of our countries. They are stealing our profession. This is wrong. They are denying us livelihood. They what we learn to live on. And if they are doing it, they will not give us contract. They got our money. This is our country's money. Their money not for day alone. These guys shouldn't be mean like this. Leave us, let's run the media. We will help you if we strike deals. But please do not steal our profession the way you're doing it. You're denying us livelihood. Younger people, okay, I can afford, but younger people who got nothing, imagine that. Those boys have turned to bad guys.
In response to journalist John Conney claims Senator DeLone described the statement as unprofessional attack and labeled the MDR head as a blackmailer and greedy journalist.
Somebody went on radio and said Dillon there, especially Tyler Dillon, he mean when I get our journalism fee. Let me tell you something. I lie on my ticket here, it hurt my character, it hurt my conscience. I live with it. I was a negative story, but it was true. Against me, but it was true. I didn't take it up on anybody, I took it up on myself. But when I'm doing something positive and you refuse to report it because reporting it with me, promoting me against the people who gave me something every month, to hell with you. I am saying it, John Connie. I'm going on the radio this week. I will speak to this. Cloud Millionaire, we will sponsor it continuously. We will make sure that it will grow bigger. We will get more than 100 radio stations across the country, community radio stations, to tell the government story. So you, the blackmailers, you think that you alone get microphones in front of you, that you alone can get up every morning, the whole country wicked, everybody change in the country, everybody in government got up one morning and said they will be bad and corrupt. Every expenditure of government is corruption. Every paper you see with money on it, somebody pay the money to the house. Is that journalism, that nonsense what some of you can be doing? Is that journalism? Is that journalism? Journalism is to respect and take cognizance and abide by the ABC. Accuracy, balance, and correct. Some people who even the journalism fee, they won't hold it talk show, a caller calls and say something completely misleading. No fact check. They don't check them immediately and say that thing you're talking is not true. Because there are other people listening. And the people who are listening, go without nonsense. That person talk for 1 minute on the radio or through the telephone. You don't do that. You don't do that. You sit on your talk show, you sit on your radio as a journalist, and you assign reporter to the Capitol building, and somebody call and say the lawmaker then they can only work 2 times a week, and you can correct them. To say no, the 2 times you see there is when they're in session. The Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, we can see them in committee, different committee hearings and committee meetings. Instead of helping the society to be informed, you there promoting one side, think you can damage another a group of people, character and reputation, and think that someone always say.
Monserrado County Senator Abraham Darius Dillon. Earlier, you heard the voice of veteran Liberian journalist John Colley. The Kakata barracks in Mangibi and citizens in its vicinity are said to be engulfed in land dispute as authorities of the barracks have accused locals in the area of encroaching on the army's property. During a brief stop by President Joseph Boakai at the barracks over the weekend, he ordered personnel of the army to effectively mitigate the encroachment of citizens on the vicinity of the army. President Boakai gave order after receiving an informal complaint from soldiers at the Kakata barracks.
This government is here to make sure that we put dignity on it. In fact, the army has to be the army is supposed to be. We want to thank you. We're very proud of the training, the program. What we need to do, our job is to empower you make you what you're supposed to be. We'll talk to the superintendent. The people who have to vacate. Our army is our army, and we have to. If you allow the people to encroach, to remove them becomes a problem. Make sure that your places are known, the perimeters, your D is secure. If you don't do that, people will come now, then you come in, but the army is army. So we'll talk with the superintendent and then we'll see how we can move.
President Joseph Boakai. A reminder you're listening to King's News, Boom 45 minutes news about Liberia, Africa, in our one word. Stories we're following tonight. Liberia National Police charges University of Liberia Graduate School Coordinator, Forbid Emery Johnson, with armed robbery and criminal attempt to commit murder. Police spokesperson Cecilia Clark says Johnson was caught on CCTV while attempting to arm rob EcoBank. Monserrado County Senator Abraham Darius Dillon criticizes veteran Liberian journalist and executive director of the Liberia Media for Democratic Initiatives for recently blasting government officials who are running their own radio and social media platforms, accused John Colley of being a blackmailer and greedy journalist. President Joseph Boakai orders armed forces of Liberia to immediately claim Kakata Barracks land, reportedly occupied by citizens, warned the army against allowing citizens encroachment. Away from home, the death of a 1-month-old baby girl who was the victim of a female genital mutilation in the Gambia has sparked widespread outrage. Dozens of soldiers have been arrested in Mali accused of plotting to topple the country's military leaders. Take a break to be back with more voices. Welcome back and thanks for being there. The assigned circuit judge of Criminal Code B, Judge Wise Alfonso Wizard, has issued a clarion call to legal actors, urging them to take seriously their sacred duty to uphold justice. Delivering his charge of the August term of court opening at the Temple of Justice, Judge Wizard pointed out reaffirmation of judicial induce and a blunt assessment of the state of Liberia's justice system, noting that court should be the last hope for mankind on earth. Judge Blamo further urged the Liberia National Bar Association to expand its legal aid efforts, especially for pre-trial detainees, and encourage magistrates to leverage Section 13.5 of the Criminal Procedure Law, which, according to him, allows courts to release defendants on reasons when justified.
Then we are close. all the digital justice and all the events to continue to grow our program on lawyer hospital and defense lawyer. Have lawyer friends. In fact, during the last 8 years, my experience as a former lawyer and that as a judge, I've so very respected. And it is my personal experience on the total as a judge. We are using Islamic. But this is Islamic as a former lawyer. I begin my Islamic as a judge over the last and look at so two number of and defense lawyer. I started out, I was supposed to be a legal practice and not a legal practice. We saw the internet of practice, we did to go to practice, and this practice and thought in our recommendation, those kind of etc. And we did so many years ago. You go there to go and have interpretation by ensuring that we bring up both efficiently in customer logic and the rule. Ensuring that we put pressure on the constitution, and the defense has to ensure that those are interpretation. In the same thing, we follow the international bias to speak about the occasion related to the basic economy of the whole law. Following is the application speak of those and interpretation. So this is the investment is up to let the interpretation of clear things in our nation in the short of 2001 already work. While those cases of abilities and our
Assigned Circuit Judge of Criminal Court B, Judge Wisse A. Wisse, they're speaking. The disease surveillance officers have issued 2 days ultimatum to the National Public Health Institute of Liberia, threatening to suspend all surveillance reporting nationwide beginning this Monday. In a press statement issued through NFIL Director General Dr. Dube Chris Yan over the weekend, the county, district, and zonal surveillance officers accused the institution's leadership, including its Division of Infectious Disease Epidemiology, of ignoring repeated appeals and engagements to resolve urgent matters affecting the country's disease monitoring system.
We, the disease surveillance officer of Liberia, including county disease surveillance officer, district disease surveillance officer, and zonal disease surveillance officer, on the Liberia surveillance system, convened an emergency meeting on August 6, 2025 at the upper class guest house in Banga, Mon County, discuss and agree on collective actions concerning long-standing issues affecting our role and the effectiveness of disease surveillance in Liberia. The concerns that remain unresolved are but not limited to: 1. Payment of operational support arrears. We are demanding the immediate settlement of all outstanding operational support (OPS) arrears from October 2024 to August 2025. These delays have placed immense pressure on us, particularly from vendors and service providers who trusted us to pay for essential goods and services. Surveillance officers have continued to perform their duties under challenging conditions with minimal support, and the lack of OPS payment is now severely undermining our positions. This matter is non-negotiable and must be resolved before further discussions can occur. 2. The transition of county surveillance officer to NFIL payroll. We are requesting that all county surveillance officers are fully transitioned to the NFIL official payroll.
Moreover, Presbyterian School Vice Principal for Administration Rufus Towenson has described affordable and quality education as a means of reducing Liberia's high rate of literacy. Speaking to King's FM Monday, Tower Sam said children as future leaders deserve a solid educational foundation to prepare them serve the country effectively.
Yeah, I was stand for the background of the kind of teachers we recruit. Normally in Liberia, private schools don't really pay out that much salary. Majority private school, not all, but we try our best to have a good remuneration for teachers, and I wish we are using and attracting a lot of teachers because the cost of living now is very difficult. So to have a teacher where you will be paying $50 US a month in order to in our school, we try to satisfy the teachers little bit when it comes to salary at the private school level. So these are some methods and methodology we are using to attract teachers. And for school to be of excellence, it depends the number of qualified teachers because you can get 12 grade teaching 12 we gave you chance to turn around and see how much you can pay the child or your children's school fees. Our school fees are affordable and on the basis of that we want for parents not only the school to take advantage of educating the younger generation. The people are the future of the country.
Is the Vice Principal for Administration of the Moravia Presbyterian School, Rufus Towesan. The resident judge of the Ninth Judicial Circuit Court in Banga, Boima Konto, has called for the establishment of 6 additional magisterial courts in Bon County to expand access to justice for citizens. Speaking during the formal opening of the August term of court in Banga on Monday, Judge Konto stressed that creating more magisterial courts will ease the heavy burden on existing courts and bring judicial services closer to rural communities. The Liberia Annual Conference of the United Methodist Church has strongly condemned the attitudes of some suspended members for disturbing the security officers deployed to protect the edifice of the St. Cho and Nangwe Church on 13th Street in Cinco. The acting director of communication of the church, Edwin Benson, said the attitudes exhibited by some individuals at the St. Chowon Nangbe United Methodist Church is solely intended to bring the church to public ridicule.
He was not
The Executive Committee of the Liberia Annual Conference of the United Methodist Church LAC UMC strongly condemns the unfortunate and unwarranted gathering and disturbance that occurred on Sunday, August 10, 2025, in front of the Spiritual Nangwe United Methodist Church in Monrovia. This latest incident occurred despite the church's temporary closure ordered by the Executive Committee on August 6, 2025, following months of escalating disruptions to worship services and sacred events, coupled with an uncooperative posture led by Mr. Kopo Toma, a suspended church lay leader, along with certain other individuals. Sunday's street disturbance in front of the closed church premises further underscores the wisdom and necessity of the closure to prevent public nuisance and to protect lives, property, and the sanctity of worship. For over 3 months, the premises of ST Nangwe UNC have been the scene of repeated acts of disorder, including the obstruction of church services and the disruption of sacred occasions such as weddings and funerals.
Away from home, the death of a 1-month-old baby girl who was the victim of female genital mutilation in the Gambia has sparked widespread outrage. The baby was rushed to a hospital in the capital after she developed severe bleeding, but was pronounced dead on arrival, police said. Although an autopsy is still being conducted to establish the cause of her death, many people have linked it to FGM, or female circumcision, a cultural practice outlawed in the West African state. And dozens of soldiers have been arrested in Mali, accused of plotting to topple the country's military leaders. The wave of arrests, which reportedly went on overnight and are expected to continue, reflect increased tensions within the military government, where reports that a jihadist insurgency in the north is gaining ground. The authorities have now commented on the arrest. Initial reports indicated that General Abbas Dembele, the former governor of Mopti region, and General Nima Sagara, one of the few women at the highest levels of the Malian army, were among those detained. Well, on that note, that's how we come to a near end of this edition of King's Newsroom. But before we leave, a quick reminder of stories we followed in the headlines. Liberia National Police charges University of Liberia Graduate School coordinator Phoebe Emery Johnson with armed robbery and criminal attempt to commit murder. Police spokesperson Cecilia Clark says Johnson was caught on CCTV while attempting to rob EcoBank. Monserrado County Senator Abraham Darros DeLong criticizes veteran Liberian journalist and executive director of the Liberia Media for Democratic Initiatives for recently blasting government officials who are running their own radio and social media platforms, accused John Colley of being a blackmailer and greedy journalist. He also heard in the news President Joseph Boakai orders armed forces of Liberia to immediately claim Kakata barracks land reportedly occupied by citizens, warned the army against allowing citizens encroachment. Away from home, the death of a 1-month-old baby girl who was the victim of female genital mutilation in the Gambia has sparked widespread outrage. Dozens of soldiers have been arrested in Mali, accused of plotting to topple the country's military leaders. Many thanks to our reporters, correspondents, and all those who helped in making this edition of King's Newsroom a success. Stephen Conton brought you the news bulletin. Sam Andrews sat at control and handled the technical aspect of this edition. On behalf of the team, I'm Shemon Dale. I presented. Thanks for listening and watching.